Hello, today I'll be talking about polar forms of conics for pre-calculus, and I'm going to be finding the general form and the conic name for this problem right here. So let's get started. Okay, so a little side note, I made a couple of notes on the side on some equations we're going to be using for the problems. So essentially, we're going to be substituting these equations right here into this problem in order to solve them. So let's get started. Okay, so first thing we want to do is see if we can do any simplifying. So we could simplify the 3 and the 1. That would just be a 1. But we can't really simplify the 4 and the 3. So we can see that we can't simplify at this moment. So first thing we're going to do is essentially get rid of the bottom number right here by multiplying it by itself. So we're going to do 4 plus 3 cosine theta. And what we do on one side, we're going to be doing on the other side. So we're also going to be multiplying this by 4 plus 3 cosine theta. Okay, so once we do that, these cancels out, and then we're left with r 4 plus 3 cosine theta. We got this by having the r right here and then multiplying it by this, and we're given this. And then since these two numbers canceled out, we're only left with the 3 at the top. So this is what we have so far. Okay, the next step you want to do is essentially just distribute the r that we have right here on the left side. So we're going to distribute it to the 4, and we're also going to distribute it to the 3 cosine theta. So then if we distribute, we're left with 4r plus 3r cosine theta, and then we're just going to bring down the 3 again, equals 3. So I mentioned earlier about the equations we're going to use to substitute it, and this is where the equations come in. So as we can see here, we have a r. Let me change the color real quick. We have r cosine theta. So if we look back at our equations, we see that it's going to be this one right here. So we're going to change this r cosine theta into an x. So if we bring this down, it's going to be 3x. And then for this 4 right here, we can also substitute the r. So if we go back here, we see that this r can be the square root of x squared plus y squared. And we got this equation from this equation right here, if you're wondering where I got that. So we're going to substitute it to the r. So then this will be 4 square root of x squared plus y squared. And then we're going to add the plus right here, equals 3. We're just going to bring that 3 down again. Okay. So from here, we're just going to move this 3x, so we're only left with the 4, and then the square root of x squared plus y squared. So we're going to do minus 3x in order to cancel them, because a positive and a negative cancels out. So that cancels out completely. And what we do on one side, we do to the other side. So then what we're going to do is going to do minus 3x here also. Okay. So I'm going to bring this down right here. I'm going to bring this down. So we're left with 4x square root of x squared plus y squared equals, I'm going to bring the negative 3x first, and then plus 3. So this goes first. Okay, so from here, we're going to see if we're going to be able to divide this 4 with these numbers. As you can see, we can't really divide by 4. It wouldn't equal out or wouldn't balance out. So we're not going to be doing that. But just know that it could happen. So just keep that in mind that it could simplify, but for this case, we're not going to. So what we're going to do is just get rid of the square root. So we're going to square root this whole entire section right here. And keep in mind that we're also going to be we're going to be squaring the 4 also, not just the square root. So then we're left with 16. And since this 4 is attached to the square root, keep in mind that it's going to be multiplying also. So we're going to put a parentheses there with the x squared plus y squared. So this is what we're left off with. And what we do on one side, we're going to do to the other side, right? So we're going to square this also. And this might look familiar. So essentially what we're going to do here is FOIL. We're going to be foiling right here. So we have negative 3x plus 3. We're going to do it 2 times. And we're going to FOIL them. So F is for first. So we're going to look at the first digits right here. We're going to multiply them. So negative 3x times negative 3x, that equals out to 9x squared, right? Because a negative times a negative will be a positive, and we have 2 x's right here, so that combines into an x squared. We're then going to move on to the O, which is going to be the outer. So we're going to be looking at this one right here, and then this one right here also. So negative 3x times 3 would just be, minus 9x, because 3 times 3 is 9, and then we include the x also. We then move on to the I, which is going to be the inner. So it's going to be this number right here, and this number right here also. Okay, so 3 times negative 3 is just going to be a negative 9 again, and then we include that x also. Okay, so then we move on to the L, which is the last. So the last will be the 3, and then the 3 at the end over here also. So 3 times 3 is just going to be a positive plus 9. Okay. So then what we're going to do next is take this and move it over here. Made that too long. Actually, let me do this. So this comes out to just, let's see. Negative 18x. Okay, now we're going to move this to the rest of the equation. Okay, so we have this now. This is where we're left off with. So from here, we're just going to distribute this also. So it's going to be 16x squared plus 16y squared equals 9x squared minus 18x plus 9. Okay, and then from here, what we're going to do is move everything to one side for it to equal out 0. This will help us achieve the general form that we're looking for. So we're going to do 9x, remove that. this comes out to this. And then let me write that down. So this comes out to 7x squared, okay? Now I'm gonna do plus 18x for this to cancel out. Okay. We're gonna bring down this y right here because we don't have a y value on the other side of subtract or add, so we're just gonna move this down. Actually, let me move that. Let me change the color. Okay, and then now we add our plus 18x, and then we include our 9. So we're subtract 9, subtracting 9. Alrighty, and then make sure to add the 0 at the end. And then this will be our general form of the equation. Okay, now we have to wonder what conic it is. So our conic, we're going to be looking at the first 2 digits, or first 2 terms. So the 7 right here is going to be an A, and then the 16 right here is going to be a B. Sorry, not a B, a C. And what we're going to be doing is multiplying these two. So 7 times 16, that comes out to 112. And if we go back to our rules on naming conics, we see right here that we're going to be looking at this one right here, the ellipsis. So we know that 112 is greater than 0, so that means it equals to an ellipsis. So these two will be our final answers.